Yep. Yep. Yeah, this one's gonna hurt, folks. Let's talk about in today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Normally, I start the podcast by saying hopefully everybody's having a wonderful whatever day of the week it is, but I know you're not. I know you're not having a wonderful Thursday because you had a pretty terrible Wednesday as the Razorback baseball season officially came to an end. Now, there was a chance that Arkansas season was going to come to an end at some point in time in the College World Series. There's a chance that it wasn't going to end with a championship. There was even a very good chance that it was not going to end in the College World Series finals. But I don't even think anybody could have really, truly scripted a more gut-wrenching and terrible loss to the LSU Tigers in a fashion that Arkansas had happen. I'm sitting here at DJ's dugout in Omaha, still trying to process what I witnessed in Charles Schwab Stadium. Arkansas had a lot of good things going for them in this game, truly. They were able to get some timely hits. They were able to get some really big moments by some of their best players down the stretch. They had a really great outing from Landon Beidelshees in his start. Arkansas kept everything in check for the most part. But in the ninth inning, it all kind of just came unglued. Arkansas felt like you were in a position to have a double play turn to end the game, get the win, live to fight another day. But you decided to just go for the easy out of third. You felt like maybe you were going to catch a ball in left field by Charles Davalon in the game. But you didn't. Scored runs, to which LSU ends up walking it off by a final score of 6-5. To say I'm hurt by this and disappointed by this, I think would be the ultimate understatement. I like to make jokes and say that I'm numb to it, but I'm not. I like to make jokes and say that I expected this, but I didn't. I was still hopeful. I was very hopeful that this was going to be the year. But it wasn't. You know, this team had a really good run. They won 50 games. And being able to get into the College World Series, where you for sure belong, and be able to compete at the high level to which you did, and to be able to accomplish the things that you were able to this season, it's nothing to sneeze at. You had a great run. It's been a few years since you've been to the College World Series. But it's really just tough. It's tough to really process everything that we witnessed here in this College World Series because there's so many highs and lows. I mean, we got to see a no-hitter by Gage Wood, right? Just an absolutely outstanding performance, something that'll never be done again. We got to see a great performance by Gabe Gackle in Game 1. We got to see Arkansas take care of business against UCLA in convincing fashion in the College World Series to get you in a position to take on LSU and have to win twice, where you had the pitching setup the best pitching setup you could possibly have given the circumstances. But you just didn't make the plays. Just didn't make the plays. And we'll talk about Dave Van Horn in a second, because I believe he deserves a certain discussion on his own and in a segment on his own about if he's at fault or if he's ever going to win one. But the thing is that you invest so much of your energy and your time and your emotions into a baseball team filled with 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds. And you're so proud of them. You're proud of what they're able to accomplish. You're proud of what they're able to do and the progress that they make as you follow it from the very beginning. That super cold game in February for the season opener. And you get out there and you have your season tickets and all of that. And you just follow along. You're a part of the journey. And the journey that lasts forever, seems like. Just throughout the whole thing. Never ends. You think about it, February and that opening series seems like years ago, decades ago even. And you follow along and you root like heck. And you see so many great times and so many bad times. So many great moments and so many bad moments. Times where it makes you second guess if this team is actually legitimate or any good, and then times when you think that you're never going to lose again. It's what it feels like in that process. And then you get to this moment, to the College World Series. Going through postseason the way that you had to have it happen. You weren't perfect, but you were good enough. You didn't make all the right decisions at the time, but you were good enough in those decisions to put yourself in a position to win. To possibly advance to the finals. Because I truly believe that if you would have won this game against LSU, you would have won the next one. I believe that. But you didn't. And sometimes we try to sit here and explain things. I try to explain things and look at it through breakdowns of what went wrong here or what this player should have done or what this coach should have done in this situation and this and that. But folks, I'm not going to do that because I can't. There's nothing that you can just sit here and say, like, oh, you should have done this. Well, to me, I can't even really do that because the only way I look at it is that there were things you should have done, but you just didn't. Sometimes things in sports don't need explanations. Sometimes they don't need us to just break it down to the smallest and finest of points. Sometimes it's just the way it is. I hate it. I hate it for the players on that team. I hate it for Dave Van Horn. I hate it for the program. But most of all, I hate it for you, the fans. You don't deserve this. No one does. No one does. But it's really hard to not think that there's some sort of cloud that follows you as a Razorback fan in these moments. It's really hard to try to understand why it is the way it is. It's hard. But maybe there's just not an answer. Maybe there's not a reason. Maybe it's just the way it's always going to be. It was a good season. Solid season. In some cases, you may even say a great season. Nothing to be ashamed about. Nothing to be embarrassed about. But unfortunately, just like so many other instances in this athletic program, it's going to be something that you will always remember for all the wrong reasons. Could have been a lot different. Should have been a lot different. But it's just the way it is. I want to bring up Dave Van Horn and people who feel like it's on him and if he'll ever win it all. Because it is a legitimate question that needs to be asked, and we'll do that in a second, so stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I know that a lot of you are talking about the way that you manage your money. Well, it's pretty tough, especially if you ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Where'd all that stuff go? Well, between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts and your investments and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building your actual wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan those long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, and you can track shared and personal accounts, set your goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances, folks, with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your very first year. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, the question becomes, folks, for a lot of you Razorback fans, will Dave ever win it all? Dave Van Horn. You know, some people were asking that question. A lot of you, at least in the moment, felt like it was necessary to have the statement of firing Dave Van Horn. Need to move on because he's never going to get it done. He's a choke artist. He's a joke. He's somebody that you just don't trust, that you just know that it's never going to get done. He's the Mike Martin of Arkansas. He's the Rick Barnes of Arkansas and everything like that. Which, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But I think it's a totally unfair opinion. To me, in these moments, and especially in the game of baseball, being a coach in most cases means just about putting your guys in their best position to succeed. It's one of the biggest reasons why in the Major League Baseball, they're not called coaches, they're called managers. Because you have to manage the roster. You have to manage circumstances. You have to make choices. You have to make decisions. To play somebody, to sit somebody, to pull somebody. The lineup card, all those things. You got the players. It's up to you to figure out how to use them. Now, at the end of the day, it's always going to be at the feet of the coach, especially the head coach. We know. But I just don't think that there's anything that we witnessed or that we saw this past season especially that made me believe and feel that Dave Van Horn mismanaged or did something wrong with this Razorback baseball roster, with any of his decisions, or with any of his approaches to the game itself. I think that so many of you can kind of live in the moment, and I can too, in looking at some of the negativity things that get brought up. I once again just cannot look at Dave Van Horn and say, well, Arkansas lost that game last night because of Dave Van Horn. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's as simple as just to blame just one person or one thing. It's all more complicated than that. But the way that I look at it is that I look at what Dave Van Horn was able to do, not only this season, but as a head coach of a program, and say that he put everything and everybody into the best position to succeed. Some of you may disagree with that, and that's fine. It's whatever you want. But Dave Van Horn put everybody in a position to win. Dave Van Horn put his team and his roster in a position to get to the College World Series finals. And it's just a hard thing for me to accept, to believe, or to even really give the time of day or give the attention to, of just saying that, well, the reason that this happened is because of Dave Van Horn. You know, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Players have to make plays. Teams have to make plays. Coaches are a big part of it, but it's a group effort. You won 50 games this past year. You went to the College World Series. You were one of the final 3 teams remaining in the College World Series. It didn't end the way you wanted to, but it was not bad by any stretch. It was not horrible by any stretch. If anything, it was just unfortunate. I'm still a big believer in Dave Van Horn. There's zero reason for any criticism to be thrown his way as far as his overall head coaching ability. Criticisms can be warranted in the moments, but he's still my guy. He's still my coach, and I still love the fact that he is Arkansas's coach, and I'm still going to root like crazy for him and truly hope that he gets what he deserves, which is a College World Series title. Just plain and simple for me. It's really hard to be hopeful, though, as a Razorback fan, isn't it? I'm going to have some parting thoughts for all you Razorback fans coming up next in the final segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, so stay with us. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, folks. I know a lot of you have been listening to this podcast, and it's probably made you depressed, or maybe it made it a downer for you. Maybe you're just over it. Maybe you hit play and immediately canceled out of it, and if you did, you did, you know. But I appreciate you guys anyways tuning in, and I appreciate your support. But it's hard sometimes being a Razorback fan. In fact, it's hard all the time. Moments like this and games like this really reiterates and solidifies the theory that it's just a cursed program. It's hard to fight that allegation. Time and time again, you invest so much of your life and energy and soul into something that you care so deeply about that very seldom you ever feel like you're repaid in kind. So many times that you just feel that this is going to be your year. Then something happens. Something goes awry. Never ends up being the way it should. Or the way you feel like you deserve. And when it happens to you as often as it does, you legitimately start questioning whether or not why you're a Razorback fan. As in, truly, why are you a Razorback fan? Why did your dad make you that way? Why did your mom make you that way? Why did you go to that school? Why did you develop that love and appreciation and passion for it? And I get it. You know, when you get kicked in the balls as many times as you do as a Razorback fan, it's only natural and it only makes sense that you have to truly think about, why is it this way? Why do you insist on torturing yourself like this? Why do you insist upon doing this? What's the point? Now, usually when we invest our time and our efforts into something, we feel like we're going to get rewarded for it on the other side in some capacity, I would say. But as a Razorback fan, it's really tough for you to start believing in that when things like this really happen so often. Well, I can tell you this, folks. We all approach our fandom in different ways. Some of us are more optimistic. Some of us are more pessimistic. Some of us live on to all the worst moments, and some of us live on to all the best moments. I mean, it's just natural. But I can tell you this. I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade a minute of it, actually. Because it's who we are. It's what we do. We do things because we're hopeful that one day it'll pay off. When we invest our time and our life and our money and our successes and our souls into something, it's because you believe that one day it'll pay off. That's the hope. In days like this, it makes it a lot more difficult to start actually believing in that. But I'm not going to stop. Neither are you. You're not going to stop being a Razorback fan. It's what we know. It's all we know. Still going to wear my Razorback red. Still going to go all the games. Still spend too much money going to these games. I'm still going to get mad, frustrated, annoyed, throw things at my TV that we all do. Like, I'm going to keep doing these things, and you are too. Because, again, you know that it's going to be worth it in the end. At some point in time, it's going to be worth it. That moment, it's going to be worth it. But, I'm a very blessed person. I'm a very fortunate person. Because I get to do this for a living. I get to talk about my favorite team in podcast form for a living. I don't think anybody really understands just how big of an honor that is to me. And the reason I got into this is not because of I love to hear the sound of my own voice as much as some of you people may think that. It's not because I'm just obsessed with the way I look and I want to see my face across TV screens and everything like that. The reason I do it is because I love the Razorbacks and I love connecting people. And I love having a common goal with so many of you, whether you're Arkansans here in the state of Arkansas or just Razorback fans across the world. A common goal and a common relation to try to achieve some sort of greatness and championships and titles for your favorite team that you follow so much is something that you can connect with people from different backgrounds, from different areas, from different everything. It's a common ground that you can all have, that we can all share. And the fact that I get to talk about it with you, you listen to me, you choose to listen to me for whatever reason that is. And we get to have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows cry those happy tears, but also cry those sad tears. I mean, the fact that we all get to do it together is a very special thing. And I won't change it. Neither will you. There's always next year, right? There's always next year. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you then.